G'day guys, my name's Dave and welcome to another Guitars Already Hero song tutorial. And in this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to play Can't Stop by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Now if you want to master your chords back to front, then be sure to head over to guitarsalreadyhero.com to pick up my free guitar ebook. Or if you want to improve on your guitar, then sign up to Guitars Already Hero Premium, which is my complete step-by-step guitar course. Just before we dig in, all the guitars that you hear recorded using the Boss Katana Air. Now in terms of amp settings, I've just got a clean amp channel. I'm using the bridge pickup on my Fender Strat here, and I've turned the gain all the way up on that clean channel so that when you really strike it hard, there's a little bit of distortion on that clean channel, but for all intents and purposes, it still is a clean tone. Let's start with the intro. It's really simple. There's just two notes. It's the 5th fret of the 5th string and the 7th fret of the 5th string. So just two notes there. And you're going to repeat that through 5 times for a bar, which sounds like this. And that just gets repeated again and again for the intro. Now let's jump to the main verse riff. So we have 2 lines of tab for this main riff. Now I'm going to start by teaching you the individual notes that need to be hit, but then I'll expand and teach you how to strum those notes. And that's probably the trickiest part of this song, is being able to mute the right notes and play it as John Frusciante does. So starting with our first bar, we have our index finger on the 7th fret of the 5th string, and then our middle finger is going to go to the 7th fret of the 3rd string, and then pinky to the 9th fret of the 3rd string. So those 3 notes are plucked down like that. Then we're going back to our root note here, and we're going to pluck this with a down, up, down. And then on the next up stroke, we're going to hit the 7th fret of the 3rd string, and then play a muted note, so that's on a down pluck. And then on the up pluck again, we go to the 9th fret of the 3rd string. So down, up, mute, up, like that. Now again, I'm just concentrating on the individual notes, but I will teach you how to mute the strings in a second. And then to end the bar, we're going to go back to our root note with an up, down, up. So in total for this first bar, like that. Now for our second bar, our root note's going to be the open 4th string, or the D note. Now there's a lot of people who play the D here on the 5th fret of the 5th string, and that's okay too, but John Frusciante does hit the open 4th string, and I've seen this on all his live performances. He just stays in this position and he hits the open 4th string. Now in terms of our picking structure, it's going to be identical to what we had in the first bar. The only thing that changes is the fact that instead of having that as our root note, we're now hitting the open 4th string as our root note. But everything else stays the same, including the 7th and 9th fret of the 3rd string. I'm playing the 7th fret of the 3rd string with my index and the 9th fret with my pinky finger here. So it sounds like this. For our next bar, we're going to change the root note. The root note's going to change to the 7th fret of the 6th string. Now you can play that with your index finger if you want, but John Frusciante uses his thumb to reach over the top to hit that 7th fret of the 6th string. And that's what I'm going to do as well, but you can very well use your index finger as well. Again, structure's the same, so this third bar. And then our final bar is the same, but our root note shifts up 1 fret to the 8th fret of the 6th string. And I like to play this with my middle finger. John Frusciante uses his thumb, but I'll use my middle finger here. Now that final bar differs from all the rest because we just have a up, down to end that riff. Instead of an up, down, up, it's just up, down. And when we put that all together, the main verse riff sounds like this. So that's the riff if we're hitting the notes individually, but that's not actually how it's played and how John Frusciante does it. Now, John Frusciante's got this awesome style where he hits single notes, but it's very percussive. He'll mute every other string other than the note that he's hitting. And this is quite tricky to do if you're a beginner. It takes a bit of practice, but once you get there, it becomes a lot easier. So for instance, for our first root note, the 7th fret of the 5th string, how he'll actually play it is he'll fret the note, but with his index finger, he's actually muting every other string. So don't push it down or don't have it up so the other notes ring out. Make contact with every string, and for the 6th string, your thumb can go over the top and hit that 6th string. So now, if I strum all the strings, then I'm just getting that 7th fret note, like that. You can strum as hard or as messy as you want, but you only get that note. And that's the key element to playing this riff correctly. So we're going to do the same thing when we go to the 7th fret of our 3rd string, and we're going to hit that with our middle finger, but you can mute everything else with your index finger like this. So you just lightly touch all the strings except for that 7th fret. And the same applies when you go to the 9th fret here. We're going to follow the same strumming direction that we had with our picking. So with our picking, we had down, down, down. When we turn that into strumming, it'll go down, down, down. So that's how we mute the notes. Now, in terms of the riff and the strumming direction, it's identical to our picking direction. So we're going to go down, 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 up, mute, up, down. Now, when we get to our second bar, our root note is the open 4th string. Now, this gets a little tricky because how are we going to only let that string ring out if we're strumming all the strings? Well, it's a bit subtle. You need to mute the top 3 strings with your index finger like this, and with your thumb reach over and lightly touch the 6th and 5th string, so that the only thing that rings is the 4th string if we strum everything like that. Then when we go to the 7th and 9th fret of the 3rd string, that's where my middle and ring finger will come over and touch the 4th string whilst I'm strumming all the strings and only fretting down that index finger. And that'll mean only that note will ring out, and then when I go to the 9th, I'll use my pinky, and my middle and ring are used to mute everything else. So the second bar. For the 3rd bar, when we go to the 7th fret of the 6th string, you're going to use your ring and middle finger to mute all the other strings. And that's how you're going to hit that root note. So that 3rd bar will sound like this. And then when we go to our 4th bar, our middle finger will come up and reach over the top and play that 8th fret root note. And to mute all the other strings, you basically just lay your middle finger across everything else. Make contact with all the other strings. You can use your index finger to sort of help here as well. The key is to not push down on anything though, other than the note you're trying to ring out. So the final bar. And in total, at a slow speed, the main riff sounds like this. Now, I really encourage you to practice that slow to make sure that the notes that you want to ring out are the only ones that are ringing out. Only when you get at a slow speed is when I feel you should work out to a faster speed. And this is how it will sound at normal speed. is one variation to that riff, and it's just before the chorus. Instead of going to our bar with the root note on the 8th fret of the 6th string, we're going to play a C major 7 chord shape like this. It's a bit of a stretchy one, and you're just going to strum that at 16th notes. 1 E, 2 E, 4 E, and then we get to our chorus. Our chorus is pretty simple. There's just 2 lines of tab here. We're going to start with a G chord. Now this is a G bar chord like this, but John Frusciante plays it like this. He loves using his thumb to hit the root notes of bar chords. So this is something John Frusciante does all the time. Players like John Mayer do it as well. So we're going to play our G like this, and we're going to strum with a down, up, down. Then we're going to go to a D bar chord like this, and we're going to strum this with 4 down strums. Down, 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 down. So down, 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 down. Then we're going to go to a B minor chord like this. So it's a B minor bar chord, but again, John Frusciante loves using his thumb for the bass notes. So we're going to do the same strumming pattern. So down, down, and then we go to a C major 7. So your thumb goes up 1 fret, and then we're going to play that shape that we had in the pre-chorus verse. And you're going to have the 5th string muted as well. So that's our C major 7, and we're going to strum that with 4 down strums. So down, down, down. So that's the main chord progression for the chorus. The only thing that differs is at the very end, instead of playing the strumming pattern for these 2 chords, but strumming them once, like that. So the chorus sounds like this. Alright, next we get to the bridge, which is fun to play. Now this is based around bar chord shapes, but of course played with thumb reaching over the top. Now we're going to start with an E minor shape, but actually in fact you don't actually need to play the bass note. We're just focusing on the middle 4 strings of this chord. Now we're going to be strumming on up strums here on the end beat. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that's going to occur throughout the whole bridge. So that first bar is just this E minor shape. Then we go down to a D major shape like this. So the first 3 strums will be like this, but then on the 4th strum, you'll lift your pinky finger and put it on the 12th fret of the 6th string, whilst keeping everything else where it is. And you need to mute the 5th string. So 1, 2, 3, 4, Then we go down to a B minor shape like this. The first 2 strums on the B minor. The 3rd strum, you take your pinky, reach it up to the 10th fret of the 2nd string. And then the 4th strum, we go back to the normal B minor. Again, remember we're just focusing on the middle 4 strings. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we go up to a C major shape like this. And we're going to strum this 3 times and then shift up to the D on the end beat after the 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So in total, the first line of tab. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Now, second line of tab is almost identical with a few minor variations. So for this E minor, at the very last strum, we're going to take our middle finger and put it down on the 13th fret of the 2nd string. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The second bar remains the same. The 3rd bar is going to change because we're just playing this B minor shape normally for the 4 strums. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the 4th bar remains the same. So the second line of tab. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that's the first part of the bridge. The second part of the bridge is almost identical. The only thing that differs is the last bar. We go to the C shape and we start strumming it with a... Now that last down strum is just open strings, so... Alright, next we get to the solo, which is really easy. There's just 2 lines of tab here. Now in terms of tone, I'm now using a lead channel. I've got the gain up pretty high, and there's quite a bit of reverb here as well. Now in the playthrough at the end, I'll actually add fuzz to this tone as well to give it a bit more of a thicker sound as well. So I'm going to start with the 15th fret of the 2nd string, and you're going to bend it up a full pitch and hold it up there. So don't actually release, so just bend up and hold it like that. And then we're going to do it again, and then release and hit the normal 15th fret. And the first 3 notes. For our next 2 notes, you'll hit the 15th fret again, and then go down to the 12th fret. And then for our next 2 notes, you'll go 12th fret of the 2nd string again, and then 12th fret of the 3rd string. And then we'll end by hitting this another time, and then another 3 times. So the first line of tab. For our second line of tab, you're going to do this 15th fret bend again, and then go up to the 17th fret, do the same thing. You bend up, hold the note, and then go down and we'll hit the 15th fret of the 2nd string. So those first 3 notes. And then we're going to bend up and release down. Go down to the 12th fret. Back up to the 15th fret. And then hit the 12th fret of the 3rd string, slide up to 14th. Down to the 12th fret, and end with 2 notes, 11th fret of the 3rd string and 14th fret of the 4th, and you can slide out of that. And the solo in total. And those are all the parts for this song. So now I'll be playing through the song in its entirety, and I'll have a vocal track on top for some context. A big thanks to my friend and artist by the name of Tugla for lending his awesome vocals. Be sure to play this back as many times as you'd like to practice play along to and see how you go.
This life is more than just a read through.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. Be sure to head over to guitarsreadyhero.com to pick up my free guitar ebook. Or if you want to improve on your guitar, then sign up to Guitars Already Hero Premium, which is my complete step-by-step guitar course. It'd mean a lot if you could hit that like button, hit subscribe, and click the notification bell as well so that you don't miss out on my updates. Please leave your thoughts, comments, questions, and requests down below, and I'll see you guys next time on Guitars Already Hero. Cheers.